Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Casey Builds Live. Been having a lot of fun doing these, and I think the shorter format, less massive scale helmet that we did last time was a lot better bite size amount to handle than the three-parter that we did with the Porsche set. So, in that spirit, we're going to do another slightly smaller, not smaller, just decent mid-range set today. MD Cordy actually made the suggestion that after we were talking about it in a previous build, that we should do this ship in a bottle today. This one is one of the idea sets. I was talking about these before, and I'm sure I'll just keep talking about it during the build today. But I love the idea sets. They're usually all very creative and different, and they're not part of it's a line. It's the ideas line, but the line is the purpose of the line is always to have various different types of sets that aren't related to anything, which I love, because you get a lot of variety with them, and they are all submitted by non-official Lego staff, so just fans submit them and people vote on them, and then so I like supporting the creative process that everybody goes through, and boy, I think since the idea sets first started coming out, I can't think of too many that I haven't gotten. I think I might have gotten them all, but as you can see, I've already built this set before, which you would know also if you had seen me talking about it during a previous stream. It's a fun set. It should be relatively quick. And there's one step in particular that I think is one of the most unique steps in Lego instructions so far, and I'll point that out when we get to it. But let's go ahead and just dive right in. Got lots of pages at the beginning of the book here talking about the guy who built it. All right, let's get some organization though. Let's put all those away. First bag. One of the things too that actually I believe it was Cordy who was talking about it during a previous one as well, was that most of the idea sets don't usually have stickers. I can't remember if this one did or did not. But whether it did or did not, I would have already put them on by now. So one thing that we aren't going to have to worry about during this build is stickers, and that always makes me happy. So there we go. Actually, let's just move those up a bit. Give ourselves a little bit more room. Yeah, so this ship is going to be it'll be like one of the classic building a ship in a bottle wooden ships. This one we're going to build the ship first and then build the bottle around it, so it's not going to be completely true to historical form with the way people traditionally have made these, but I think actually building the bottle and then building the Lego in the ship out of Lego inside of the bottle that you create would be out of the scope of what instructions could probably convey. So that's okay. We're gonna build it from the inside out, since we can do that with Lego. And we're missing a brick. There it is. There we go. Yeah, the ship, as we build it up here inside, isn't going to be it's not a terribly complicated ship. This set is more about the novelty of recreating a traditional ship in a bottle. But like we were talking about before, there's a lot of pieces that go on the insides of these things that you're not going to be able to see, but they use colors to help kind of guide your way as you go. So just like that stormtrooper helmet, we're doing that again. That's pretty standard for these sorts of sets where it's a model set where you're going to end up with a finished looking product that you can't really see the inside of. Using colors on the inside helps guide your way. Oh, Michael Zala's out there. Can tequila be used as a brick preservative? Wonder if you could. You've got me thinking about that now. I wonder if you could. It would be a heck of a trick, but maybe use a bottle of tequila, and then go old school and try to build a ship inside of that, but use Lego bricks and somehow use like they do with that. That'd be fun. That would probably be the closest I'd want to get my Legos to tequila. Yeah, that would be awful sticky. But drinking tequila while building Legos, now that is something I could get behind and have gotten behind. Taco Cub, have you ever thought about creating Lego tweezers and trying to build the ship? That's what we were just talking about. Yes. I have not thought about that before 30 seconds ago. But, I mean, I'm certainly thinking about it now. Maybe that'll be one of our CaseyBuilds milestones when we hit it and we can start. I don't know all of these fancy things that people do when they're streaming, but like voting and all of those things, or maybe one of the things could be trying to build a whole set just using like chopsticks or something like that. Actually, that seems like it'd be a pretty fun challenge now that I think of it. Thank you, Taco Cub and Zala. Those are great thoughts. Okay, still just not terribly exciting yet. And since these ones are going to start getting a little bit more complicated with all the little itty bitty pieces, I am going to set my pieces out for each step so that I don't miss any. These model sets, I feel like are a little bit, because of their intricacy, they're a little bit trickier to make sure that, you really want to focus and make sure that you have all of the pieces for any given step, because they're kind of hard to miss with these more intricate sets. Technic sets, they're obviously intricate too, but as you're building them, it's very obvious if you don't have a piece in the right spot, because we won't all go together. And these ones, sometimes you'll have a piece hanging off one side and nothing needs to connect to it. It's just there for flavor, and if you don't set it out ahead of time, you might miss it. So, drinking tequila while building Legos may cause some divergence from it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay, maybe that'll be another one of these things these days. It'll be just free-form Lego building and no instructions and just going for it. Ooh, or what about, here's an idea. What if we did one where instead of going totally free-form, we open up a pack and no instructions, just looking at the box, try to get it as close to what the box looks like without actually following along with any instructions.
That sounds awful.
Yes, Chris, I think I would say that Technic sets are technical. That's a good word to use to describe them. completely agree with that. Man, I feel like I should be writing all these ideas down for creative builds once
Chopsticks,
once we
tequila, free farm building with only using the picture.
luckily my wife is listening and can remember them all for me, so that's great. There we are. Yeah, I feel like last time when we were doing this, we had all sorts of crazy fun things, shout outs for people that were either engaged or having birthdays or who knows what. And at this point, I don't think we have anything fun or exciting to talk about this week. Not specific to today. There were a couple of birthdays this week. I know my friend Jacob is on here regularly. It was his birthday this week. Happy birthday. Huh?
Tom,
Yes, and Tom.
anniversary for AJ.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, today is AJ and Heidi's anniversary. Happy anniversary to them. Oh wow, there's all sorts of comments coming in. I'm getting behind on my reading. Let's see here. I'm trying
See if you would just let me moderate for you.
I don't know how to turn that on. Blind edition, CaseyBuilds by Braille. Jeez, you guys are build my wife out of Legos. Oh my god.
It takes so many Legos.
No, you. Welcome to the stream, Bo James. Is Bodie out there? Oh, amazing things done at work this week. I'm not sure if this being a public forum, that seems like something I shouldn't do. But yes, there were some amazing things that happened at work this week that were difficult and frustrating challenges. It was an emotional roller coaster this week. But like Chris with his hilarious results, we're all still alive and we made it through. So what better way to celebrate than with another CaseyBuilds? Oh, well, see, now that's tricky. So I'm hoping this little piece right here is going to have something going through it, because right now this thing can spin, but it seems like the perfect spot for a post to go through that we're going to be able to hang a sail off of to keep that right in place where it needs to be. So we're still, you can start to see top deck here where we'll have a little what's the ship's wheel that you steer with? Why can't I think of what the name of that is? Just the wheel?
Just the wheel.
I feel like that has a fancier name. Yeah. Work achievements were definitely unlocked this week. And this morning, I actually went ahead and reorganized the Lego studio, because it's been a while since I just dumped all my sets on all the shelves in here. And one thing that was missing was order to the chaos. And I thought, it's about time for me to finally do that. So everything's all grouped over on this side. Over here we have all of the smaller Star Wars sets. Behind me we have various categories of sets. We have all my Technic sets up here, which you guys obviously can't see. We have all my idea set. It's beautiful. They're all grouped and ordered by set number, and it's just a beautiful thing. I actually took a time lapse video while I was organizing them all, so I'll post that to my channel after this is over. Suppose you can't really watch two things at once. Well, no, I take that back. You could watch two things at once, but would you want to? I doubt it. Helm. Christopher Bailey says helm, and I'm not. Huh?
Yep.
Yep. What?
That is also a proper term.
Oh, the helm of the ship. I had forgotten that we'd already covered that. I had moved on, and I had forgotten about that. Thank you. That would be the word I was looking for. Apparently very half-heartedly. Soup. Oops. 2 pages at once. Can't do that. So I had mentioned the fun story behind this set on a build before. But for those of you that weren't around for it, I'm going to go ahead and tell the story again, because it's heartwarming. Before I was here with my studio, and I had a much smaller condo, one time a friend Michael was visiting, and he was over, and this ship I had just recently put together, and it was out on a shelf, being displayed as one would do with a ship in a bottle. And I had left the room to, I suppose, powder my nose or something, and I had just gotten to the area where I needed to be, and I hear a slight crash and then this shriek of terror, and I quickly came back and saw him just staring at the ground, practically crying, because apparently he thought it was really cool, and I had said, by all means, go ahead and take a peek, but he had picked it up, and the mechanics of the ship, a lot of the Lego builds are usually really structurally very sound. This one he had picked up by the neck of the bottle, and the rest of the bottle is where all the heavy part was, so it just fell. And you'll see why this was particularly bad shortly. But pieces went everywhere, and he was so just distraught. And I mean, they're Legos. You put them together and they come apart. That's how it works. But he was so upset that he had dropped it, and I tried to reassure him that everything was fine. But as a little bit of a going away, maybe it was housewarming present for him after he had moved out of town, I had actually bought him another this set, so that he could build it and display it on his mantle, as a constant reminder. And the last time I was visiting, it was there. So yeah, it did drive Michael to drink more. Yeah. So there's an episode of Futurama where somebody destroys someone else's Lego set. Was it that exactly on point with this topic? Okay. All right. This guy's getting cute. Starting to look like a ship. We're gonna get a flag on there. Get some sails. We'll set it aside once we start building the bottle. go. I think he. I think he appreciates knowing that we can laugh about it now, even though I don't think has ever actually laughed about it.
We found pieces.
Yeah, we found all the pieces, so everything's fine. Told him we would, and we counted them. Which again, you'll see why in a little while. This is as big of a deal as he felt like it was. But where in the world? There it is. 30% Iron Chef Joyberg destroys professorship. Oh yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, shipping a bottle of rum drinks. That's a great idea.
What would you like using in catering?
No, I'm okay.
I just can't do it right this second.
There we go. Actually, maybe I would like a little rum drink, come to think of it. Yeah. Oops. Oh, off by one piece. That's annoying. There we are. Yeah, so it looks like we've got the deck of the ship, and now we've got these holes here that we're gonna put the masts into and stuff. Arr. Yeah, why is the rum gone? It's because of this quarantine business. We actually are due. We need to go pick up some more. Our favorite rum in this house is Siesta Key, and it's pretty much the best rum there is as far as we're concerned. And we have run out of the dark spiced Siesta Key, and now we've been drinking the gold Siesta Key, which is still good, and we need to make it through that. So now this is giving us an opportunity to work our way through that, which we otherwise wouldn't. But one of these days we need to, when we can, we need to make our way over to Total Wine, because that's the only place around here that they sell it.
If you order from Total Wine online.
Okay. We have all these little tiny little cannon things, which are going to be just, again, some more adorable flavor on the ship here. Little detail. Oh, backseat Becca's. Yeah, those are good too. Haven't had one of those in a while. Chris Bailey, is the someone that keeps drinking your rum you? Is the call coming from inside the house? Oh, I should hold that down. There. See, so now we've got the ship here with little cannons coming out of the side. It's starting to look pretty cute. All right, let's make some masts. Looks like we're making two of these, so we'll just do both at the same time. Boop, boop. Okay, that's going to be like that. Be vertical 2. Incidentally, I don't think Michael is watching this today. I think he had something else. He's been here for most of the other ones, so it seemed like it was a great way to include him, even though he would not be able to join us for the build. We'll see if he mentions this and goes back and watches it some other time. It's a good way to know. Okay. Oops. Too far. There we go. Got little crow's nests at the tops of these. I'll hold it up and show you. So we got a sail at the... Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 and 2. 2 and 2. No, I have not started Dom's charger yet. It's still sitting up yonder. Have you ordered your Dom's charger yet? Oops. There we go. This one's a little bit tricky just because there's putting these sails on here. The sails are literally the width of this rod, so you got to have them pretty much exact. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. There we are. New Lego sets. That's pretty much got birthday written all over it as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if you can get a better birthday present than Lego. Okay, we have a little one mast. Do the other one here. This is definitely gonna... It starts out being a pretty quick build, and it's not gonna be super long, but it does get tricky when you're trying to put the ship into the bottle. There's some pretty tight clearances. I remember being pretty frustrated with this one when I was building it the first time, so see if I can do a better job this time than I did the first time. Alright, here we go. There. It's kind of delicate. Make sure they're lined up pretty well. I think so. Feels good. And now for the last one, and then we start building the bottle. Well, you kind of build the half of the bottle, you build half of it, and then you have to put the ship in, and then build the other half around it. It's kind of tricky how they do it. Is there a submarine set? Actually, well, there's the yellow submarine. Beatles. That was a pretty good idea set that they came out with. But no, it is not the Fast and Furious Soviet submarine coming up through the ice kind of submarine. Though that would be a pretty cool Technic set, come to think of it. Or maybe an idea set. Okay, there we go. Last one. Put that on the front of the ship. And there we go. Give ourselves a nice little ship ready to be put in a bottle. We'll just set that up there. There we go. On to bag number 2. Bottle time. Whatever feels right to you. Okay, you may note that all of these, with the exception of these 4, all of these pieces are clear. Sean Connery bust out a Lego. Well, there is a James Bond car. That would accompany the bust, I think, pretty well. But yeah, you can see all of these pieces are all clear, which are kind of the exact opposite of what I've been mentioning about having colored bricks to lead the way. So this one gets a little tricky, just trying to keep everything organized. But one of the other things, and I don't know if this is true or not, it just feels that way. All of these clear bricks, I don't know if it's a different type of plastic than the normal Lego plastic, but when you're putting them together, they kind of have a more a rubberiness to it. They don't feel the same. And I actually, it's probably one of my complaints is that these ones don't snap as well as normal Lego pieces do. But obviously with this one, we're building a glass bottle, plastic bottle, and so all the pieces need to be clear. Pirates of the Caribbean theme song. Actually, I do have a Pirates of the Caribbean set down there of the ship. The Silent Mary, that was a pretty cool. That was a bigger set though. Also, hi Jacob. Don't know if you were on earlier, but gave you a happy birthday shout out. Oh, I can hear ice in a glass. It's always a beautiful, beautiful sound. Ooh, thank you. We got Lego building fuel here.
It's hot dark rum in it too.
Delicious. Set that down there. What else am I missing here? Whoops. Clicked the wrong thing. No. Okay. Good. One of the things that's really interesting about this part of the build, though, too, is that to get all of the dimensions just right, they do a lot of really interesting things with using, big flat windowy kinds of pieces, but also to give it, I think it's also to try to give it a little bit more man, I'm having a hard time coming up with words today. Structural rigidity. There's all these little pieces to help hold it together and make it stronger, I think. HMS Tokyo Drift. That's great. Yeah, and because this build is the way it is, you don't really have a lot for these pieces to square themselves off against. So you really have to be careful to try to keep everything lined up as well as you possibly can. I don't usually enjoy it when things are this finicky, but it's a cool enough set that you just deal with it. That said, taking this set apart, it's also a bit of a booger because everything's clear. It's hard telling what pieces are supposed to be together and which ones are supposed to come apart, and comes apart easily, but not necessarily reliably. Okay. All right. Well, we have a flat panel there. Apparently, we just set that off to the side. Okay, we're building 2 of these. I kind of have it as I don't know if you would even consider it a personal challenge or just some nerdy OCD thing that I do, but I try to make it so I only go forward in the instructions, and I feel like when I have to go back in the instructions, I feel like that's a personal failure, even when the instructions call to do something twice. So you make your way through, you get to the end, and it says, oh, you should need to have 2 of these. Going back, I still feel like I'm slightly failing. So I always try to pay attention. You can see in the instructions here, right around, let's see if I can, right around there. Right around there, there's a little 2x in there. And so I always try to pay attention when it says do it 2 times. So I just build it twice the first time instead of building one, then having to come back and build another one. Also, generally, I think it's a little quicker if you're just doing it all at the same time. Not that that's a huge issue. Oh, all the little pieces wearing your fingers? Absolutely. Yeah, you get your Lego building calluses every once in a while. I know it's been a while since the last time I built something. If I go to build it and then my fingers are hurting the next day. That definitely happens. It's a dorky problem to have, but it sure is. I actually think taking them apart is a little bit harder on your fingers than putting them together. There's more strain involved. Oh, well, those tricksters. See, I just had to go back. It said 2x. Usually that means you have to double the recipe, but apparently their recipe was already doubled. Okay. All right. Now this is tricky. So you can see this guy here is flat along one side, but definitely not along the other side. And this right here is definitely not flat. The way they go together, it actually dovetails together pretty impressively. But again, it helps make it strong. There we go. Yeah, never try to take something apart after you've just clipped your fingernails. That's gonna hurt a lot. Okay, so now we compare this to that and make sure that it's all lined up the right way, and it looks like it is to me. Okay, see, now this time it says 2x, but step number 15 is obviously not doubled, as it says 1. So we're going to double it. And that way we don't have to go back. It is nice having Lex help with the disassembly. Usually makes it go much faster. I mean, it's a big set like the Porsche. It doesn't take as long to take it apart as it takes to put it together, but it takes longer than you would think it would if you're taking it apart meticulously, the way I do. I actually just saw something recently. You guys know how much I loved that Porsche set. It looks like there's going to be a Lamborghini set coming out pretty soon. That'll be a big set like that Porsche and the Chiron that I was talking about while I was building the Porsche. So I'm really excited about those. Those big Technic sets for me are just about as good as it gets with this stuff. So having another one to look forward to is exciting. And with, a cool car like a Lamborghini, that's a lot of fun. And I also very optimistically tend to think that when they build sets, if they're successful enough, it provides them the correct encouragement as a company to make more of them like that. And so the more of these car sets they build, the more likely they are to make the sets that I would want to build for my own personal reasons. I don't remember which Lambo it is. It's a new model that may not actually be out yet. But yeah, that the Stranger Things set's really cool. The way you can basically flip it upside down to show the upside down. They did a great job with that one. And I've never been bit by the minifig bug. I think they're cute and I like them, but I don't necessarily feel the obsessive need to collect all of them like some people do. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But the Stranger Things set had some really good little minifigs. I particularly liked their take on the Demigorgon. So, yeah, that was a really great set. Okay. This seems like it might end up being the base of the bottle. Which, when it's sitting there, is going to be the side, but whatever. Got another 2x here. So we're going to be smarter than the instructions. Just had a thought looking over. I was looking at the Stranger Things box. This guy. Ooh. Stranger Things. It'd be fun to build that one, and then I looked over and I noticed the Ghostbusters, the firehouse over here too. It'd be fun to kind of put those together. I know technically the stuff in Stranger Things aren't ghosts. But who knows? Maybe the Ghostbusters could fight other dimensionally monsters.
Isn't Sigourney Weaver's tormentor from another dimension?
Oh, yeah, what was his name? Oh, shoot. Like just pointed out that Sigourney Weaver's, the guy that came after her baby was from a different dimension. He wasn't a ghost. I'm trying to think of what his name is right now, and it's... Yeah, I'm sure Chris will shout it out in a second, but I can't think of... Vigo. Is it Vigo?
Is that the baby's name?
No, the baby's not Vigo. No.
I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Pretty sure that was it. But anyone in chat, yeah. There you go, from Chris. Vigo the Carpathian. Yes.
Aha!
From Carpathia, I believe. What?
Nothing.
No, that's part of the joke. The Carpathian from Carpathia, I think. Clearly, it's been a while since I've watched Ghostbusters 2, so might need to bust that out and build the firehouse. Oops. Oh, I had to go back. I hate going back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The Ghostbusters firehouse would actually be a pretty interesting set to build because there's lots of little rooms and things. So while it's one of the bigger sets, which I've been hesitant to do another one of, I think it would be fun to see the progress as we go through it. So that one could be a fun one to do. Maybe we'll time that one to coincide with the new Ghostbusters movie release whenever that happens. Ryan has never seen Ghostbusters 2. Has Ryan seen Ghostbusters 1? I don't know why that shocks me. Ryan hasn't seen most of the things that he should have seen by this point in his life. Okay, yeah, there we go. We got a base of the bottle. Now we just need to make sure we keep it going the right way, even though it's symmetric. My OCD requires that I I keep the same side facing up, which I may have just made more difficult for myself than I needed to by spinning it around. Ah, shucks. There we go. That's what we need to key this off of. Those go that way, those go that way. Sorry, bear with me here, folks. This is important stuff. All right. There we go. There we are. Chris, I have the answer to your problem. I think next New Year's, when you're spending that with Brian and Allie, I think you guys should watch Ghostbusters 2.
I like the idea of you playing music that goes with whatever you're building.
I like the idea of it. I just worry that if I were to be playing music, it would be too...
It's not like loud, just in the background. Still hear you.
Well, maybe at one point when I'm not actually streaming, we can put up a test stream and try it out and see how it sounds. Chris, how about instead of playing Murder Trivia Party for 4 hours, you play it for 2 hours and enrich your husband's life for the other 2 hours? Oh no. There. Lex makes a good point, Chris. Okay. Making progress on our bottle here. You can see that it is the bottom of a bottle. Oh. Helicopter's back.
Mm-hmm.
Is that last weekend that it was circling for 4 hours? Chris, I can understand your hesitation. That's a valid reason. Okay. So what we're building up right here, can't quite tell, this is going to in fact be where we attach the ship in the bottle that we will then build around. The great thing about having that piece in there now with what we're going to attach the ship to is it does give us a point of reference as we're going around the rest of it, so that we now know which direction to keep it. And like I said before, at the bottom of it, everything was symmetrical anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but just OCD wise, I needed to make sure it was going the same way. Alright, now for the fun part. Ship goes in the bottle, and it does a very poor job of explaining to you how it's supposed to line up, which I had forgotten about. So we're going to center it on these pieces here. There we go. Okay. Also remember that the clearances on this were real tight, so hopefully I put the masts down far enough. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to tell, but you can see the tops of these are awful close to that, so that's close one. Alright, and that shows that that is lined up correctly. So we're making sure that the thing that I'm really focused on here is that this mast is centered over this piece right here, which looks like we are. So apparently I did that okay. All right. Huh. Well, that's a misprint. This step says 2 of these things, and then it says to make 2 of them, and it doesn't have the 2x at the top like it should. So it should say 4x up at the top. Lego, you're slipping. Okay. Getting close to the 3rd bag, which is the one that I had said is one of the most interesting steps in any Lego set. So we're getting close to that fun part. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's quite the treat. Okay, now this is tricky. So these fit over top of that right there, so the clearance is, I mean, it is right on top of that piece, so kind of neat how it works out. Same with this one. The ship is very securely in there at this point. 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay. 5, and these little guys right here. Okay, so we've got the bottom half of the bottle done. The ship is in it, and we'll build the top half now on top of that. Okay, the next step is bag 3, and as you can see, bag 3 is one step. Bag 3 has 284 of these things. Now, when Michael dropped this thing, these went everywhere, and he was terrified that one had been missed. So, to make sure that we had all of them, after we picked them up, Lex and I counted every single one of them, and there are 284 of them in here. So they are all accounted for. No harm done, Michael, if you go and watch this in the future. What's your clearance? Clarence? Yeah. Very nice. And so this step is one of the easiest steps there is. It's pour all of them into the bottle. And it's probably, if I was guessing, it's probably the uh-oh, I just lost 3. The most efficient step in any Lego set as far as how many pieces you place per step number. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. There we go. So we got water in our bottle now. Be careful at this point, but we'll just keep it upright, and then once we finish off the bottle, we can level it out and get water all over the place. Okay. Final bag. Looks like we got some bottle top parts right there. Got some neck parts right there. All the rest of it. So once we finish off the bottle, obviously we're going to have a way to display it, and so that's what the rest of this for is. We'll be building a wooden base that you can display it in. So. Okay, let's build the top of the bottle. So we need this guy and this fella. There we go. Oops. That would actually be a really fun piece of trivia to find out if that last step, the step bag number 3 with the 284 pieces, if that is probably the highest piece count of any given step. Yeah. I wonder if there's any Lego stats website that exists that you could query that stuff in. The closest thing that I could think of is in the Lego roller coaster set. You have to put a bunch of chain links together to create the belt that hauls the cart up to the top of the track, and that was a less fun step because you actually had to put them all together. It's kind of a booger. And obviously that went way slower than what we just did here. And for the eagle-eyed observer, you may have noticed that when I was taking this apart, I clearly wasn't super thorough because this little piece was still in this piece. And I missed it when I was taking it apart, so shame on me. There we go. Just about got ourselves a cork top here. Find it. Well, this is ridiculous. It's in here somewhere. There it is. Found it. Whew. I know you were all probably really worried. Okay. Build this around it. Oriented this way. This guy here, this guy here. So as you can see, they did a really clever job of making this actually look like a cork in the top of a bottle. Sealed. The seal has, looks like it says TC. I wonder if those were the initials of the guy that created it. I could go all the way back and find that out later, but we're going to keep going right now. Okay, now to make sure we have it all lined up the right way. There we go. And like that, we now have a ship in a bottle with water. How clever is that? Now, if you remember the story I was telling earlier, imagine picking it up just by this and the absolute terror of this all falling out. Yeah. Uh-oh. The front of my ship's a little droopy. Well, there goes nothing. That should be angled up a little bit more. Okay. Okay, here we go. Take two. All right. Now we're good. What a good looking bottle. Okay. All we need is a stand. Then we'll be done with this build. Quickest one yet. The Klucher maneuver. Yeah, we're not going to be doing that one today. Don't feel like counting out 284 water bits. Oh, the USS Toretto crossover. I hope everybody out there went and located their rum to accompany this build. That was definitely the right choice to make. Oops. And then once again, we're back to the parts that don't have, the innards that aren't going to be visible. So we're using color again to help us stay on track. All right. No, this is not a Capri Sun. This is some Siesta Key with some Dole juice in it. All right. I'm sure all of you out there noticed that it says 2x once again, so we're going to go ahead and build 2 of these at a time. I would say in the Fast and Furious movies, for any of you that haven't heard me complain about this yet, I think Michelle Rodriguez is just about the worst part of those movies. Don't know what it is about her, but she just bugs me. Okay. All right. Well, there we are. One of the things I always find interesting, Fast and Furious Pirates crossover. Well, I think that's what Taco Cub was talking about earlier, about having a submarine. That could be interesting. How about Fast and Furious presents Pirates of the Caribbean? One of the things that I always find interesting, and there's a lot of these with the Star Wars models in particular, especially the higher end ones. But what we're seeing here as well is you build a set which looks great, ship in a bottle, or like a Star Wars ship of some kind. But one of the things that they always think about, in addition to simply building the model itself, is frequently they'll have a stand for the model that you built, which makes sense for something like this. I mean, obviously you could just put this on a table like that, but a stand sort of just gives it a nice finishing touch. And so on the one hand, a stand could basically be, you could have a pretty universal stand format for just about any set out there. But it's one of the things that I always find interesting is just seeing how they do their stand construction for any given set. And it's one of the, I would say, one of the unsung heroes of most of these things is seeing the way that the stands are put together. You know, it's not the most exciting, glamorous part of a set, but there's still creativity that goes into them. So it's one of the things that I can't imagine most people really give a whole lot of attention to, but I do. Dom Sparrow. Oh no. In fact, I'm going to show this real quick. Take that piece off. So this was a really interesting step. This was a really clever way that they changed direction of the pieces. So if you're looking at this, all the studs are on top, and all of a sudden you've got this flat space here. You put that one in there like that, which effectively inverts things, and then you lock it in place like this. And I can't remember what it is that we're going to be putting on top of this, but I remember, and I still now think, that's a really creative way to actually flip it over, because it's perfectly locked in place. It can't move. But now the pieces going into this are effectively going to be going in the opposite direction of everything else. So I can't remember what goes on top of here, or we're going to get there soon enough. But that's really clever. Really clever way to flip things over. So here we are. Whatever's going on here, and now we have this space. So I'm guessing, just looking at the pieces we have, this probably is going to go in there somehow. But we'll find out in a moment, I would imagine. Yeah, with all the detail that they put into the really obvious parts of sets, it's easy to forget how much there's the less obvious parts that are still important pieces of the set that they still have to design. And so it's nice knowing that design effort goes into everything, not just the most important parts. So yeah, okay, so we have a little compass here. It looks like that's going to go in there and give us, we'll make north go that direction, like a north going up, as one would expect. What are we missing? We need that. It's actually kind of funny in the instructions. They put a little glint on the corner of some of the pieces, and particularly the gold ones. These are gold pieces, and it's hard to say that they're really any shinier or different than the other ones, but that's how they make that differentiation. So funny little thing they do. There we go. Now we got a compass that won't actually point any direction that it's supposed to. So just polling the audience here, trying to make as many people happy as possible, and reach as many fans out there as we can. Just out of curiosity, are the early afternoon weekend times better than anything else, or do we like that timing? Would we prefer later in the evening? I know not everybody's in this time zone, so it's useful for some people having these earlier ones, and it doesn't bump into their bedtime. But just because we do it at one time doesn't mean that we can't do it at other times and cast a wider net. So, just curious. Also, with shorter builds like this, obviously, I mean, looks like there's quite a few pieces left here, but it's going to go quick. I'm curious if doing a couple of smaller builds in a weekend, like one today and then one tomorrow, is something anybody would be interested in. I definitely don't want to inundate people, but if you're enjoying them, it's easy for me to turn the camera on. Doesn't conflict with dinner. Okay. Yeah, looks like the mid-afternoon is probably a good time. I was thinking. Anyone else with opinions out there?
Take your top off.
You hush. Break from yard work sounds like a valid reason to aim for this time period. That's good. Isn't it warm out there right now, though? I know it's warm here. It's come on, watch. I need a new watch. Mine's not reliable these days. Yeah, it's 76 out here, so it must be sweltering up there where you are. Can't imagine I'd want to be outside right now. I don't want to be outside here.
You don't want to be outside crazy.
Listen, I don't need your sass in here.
Yes, you do.
Let's see here. I actually read a press release from Lego earlier today, talking about basically asking people to just continue to be patient, and they've seen a pretty substantial uptick with people sheltering at home, buying Lego sets to keep themselves busy. So it's been taking them a little bit longer to fulfill orders and get their suppliers stocked and all of that kind of stuff, which I think is perfectly reasonable and understandable. Yeah. But it despite them taking a little bit longer to get orders out, it warmed my heart to hear that it was something that people were doing to keep themselves busy during this time. So that's fun. It's nice. Yeah. Lego really is just a top-notch company. All right, and we gotta flip this guy over. Looks like we've got what's going to be the makings for a bottle holder here. So, make sure we have this one where the right spot is. Let's see here. Okay. One down. Oh. Well, that's really thoughtful, Chris. Lego seems to they seem to really care about their customers and take their role as a provider of this stuff very seriously. So that's nice. Oh, Ducati. Yeah, I don't know when the Ducati set will be released yet. Okay. Yeah, we're just flying along with the final steps here. This is... Can't remember if there's much else after we finish this base. I think we just set the bottle in there and we're done. So just need to basically build 4 of these things and that's it. So we're going to be done before we know it. Oop. Chris, do you know when the Ducati will be out?
August 1st.
Oh, August 1st, Lex says. That's nice. Got a nice finished edge here. That's cool. Permanent press on cold is the same thing as delicate. Well, I ask you this. Is the cycling gear ruined or is it still wearable? Because if it's not ruined, I think I might have a hard time vilifying Ryan in this case. That could be a fun special edition of CaseyBuilds if the quarantine stuff is lifted. Could have my official sorter here. And yes, I know you can sort too before you. Parts are kind of boring when you basically have to build the same thing 4 times, but because each one goes in a different direction, they have to write out the instructions 4 times in each direction, even though they could, if there was some way that they could just say build 2 of these but build one of them in the exact opposite order, then you could kind of conserve on instruction space. Go. Almost done. It does make it go a lot quicker though when you kind of don't even need to pay attention to parse the information. You just kind of use it as a very loose guide and you can just fly along. There we go. piece goes there. I don't even need to look at the instructions. There we are. Can't remember if I was just thinking this question or if I got it out or not, but what did people think about 2 shorter Lego builds over the course of a weekend? Oh no. We are missing a piece. Oh dear. Oh dearie dear.
Is it in your extra bag?
It might be in the extra bag. These are all empty. Tragedy strikes.
Is it on the floor?
No, it's here. Woo! Weird that that ended up in here. Oh, goodness. My heart's beating so fast right now. Crisis averted. Are. Got a nice solid base here. We'll finish these guys off, and then just a couple more pieces. We'll finish this off too. Why is the rum gone?
Because you drank it. I know you know.
Nah, I'm done. Okay. And of course, I have a little globe, a world globe. Let's see here. Those two are the same, which means these two must also be the same. Okay, we got Europe and United States, which last time I checked, need to go opposite of one another. Thusly. Same. Okay. There we go. So now we've got a couple little globes here. And for the final step, there we are. Ooh. Almost pulled the Klutcher maneuver after all. Okay, well that's the end of that build. That was quickie. Let's go back to the beginning of this thing real quick here and see if the original creator, model, developer was in fact named. Does anybody remember the initials? TC. See if that's what his name is. Casey special refill time. Yeah. Okay. Nope. JS. That's definitely not a JS. That's a TC. Well, I want you all to put your thinking caps on and think of what TC could stand for by the time we do another Casey Builds, which I'm guessing probably not Time Cop or Tom Clark. No, I think you're both wrong. Yeah, I'd imagine we're going to do another one of these tomorrow, starting probably just after lunchish. So here it is, finished Lego build. Now I think I'm gonna need to go figure out where to put this. Thanks, thank John Sebastian. No, it's a C. Johann Sebastian. T. It's a T. Here. TC. Tom Collins. Okay, you guys. I'm regretting my asking. Okay. Everybody have a great afternoon. Try to stay cool wherever you are. And suppose I'll be seeing a lot of you guys tomorrow.